What's going on, guys? Welcome into episode number 70 of the Ask Tony Show. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm so excited about today's guest. Today I have, I would say, a little community celebrity here in studio today. Karina Perez from E&V Real Estate. Karina, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, thank you for having me and reaching out to get me. It was amazing. Great idea. I love the show. I love everything that you do too. So I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited about this conversation because before we jumped on air, we were talking about, I always try to find people that do things differently, whether it be agents, loan officers, entrepreneurs, people that do things differently. And so there are a lot of layers to you that I have, kind of learned about following you on social media that I think can provide a ton of value for our audience. But before we jump into that, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from. Obviously, you're in real estate, but tell us, who is Karina?
Who is Karina? Karina is a mom first. Karina is a realtor next, and then an entrepreneur next after that. So I am from Chihuahua, Mexico. So been here for about almost 30 years. Still hate the snow. Okay.
Me too.
Okay. No matter. Yeah, it's really bad. I have been in real estate for about 9 years, like in the industry. I started as a property manager, and then totally worked my way to where I am, which is really different from people that are new agents today, right? So yeah, it's been really great climbing up to where I've been. The journey has been awesome and exciting and fun. So
yeah, and one of the things that first caught my attention, and one of the reasons why I invited you on the show, was because you're writing a book.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So let's just start with that.
Okay, cool.
That's awesome.
Because that's why we're here.
Right? So as I mentioned, guys, different people market in different ways. We're going to talk a little bit about brand today. We're going to talk a little bit about different ways that people can make a name for themselves. But writing a book, to me, is super interesting because I did a podcast with another author, and he was saying that if you want authority in your marketplace, the word author is in that word, right? So if you want authority, you got to be an author.
Okay.
And so we as a society, and I think that it's super cool that we put authors on a pedestal, right? Everybody can have an Instagram page, everybody can have a YouTube channel, but how many people write a book and actually have a book published? So talk to us a little bit about that. Where did that idea come from? What was the process to get it done? From what I understand, it's almost ready to go. So talk to us about your book writing journey.
Oh my gosh, it's been a journey. It's been fun. It's been a total learning experience. I mean, it took me, I think, 4 or 5 months to do it. And that's, of course, juggling everything else I have going on. But the market was hot, right? 2020 was insane. Beginning of 2021 was even crazier. And so I was like, how can I help as many people as I can, even if I'm not their realtor? And in that time frame, it went from invest, throw in millions into the market, or maybe not that crazy, but flip houses, do this, do that. And I was like, what about the people that just want to buy a house, that want to get out of a rental situation or anything like that and just buy a home for their family, or maybe just their second upgrade, but they're not ready to talk to a realtor. It's scary. All they're saying all over the news is that the housing market's insane, and they just want to know what the first step is, what to do. So then I was like, how can I help that? And, social media only reaches so many people. If you're not interesting in the first 7 seconds, they keep going, right? Yeah. So I wrote a book, and it's just literally just how to buy a house. Before talking to a realtor, what you need to know. And it's super basic. I mean, it's not like 600 pages. It's like, I think 60 pages, just the steps, what to do first, how to pick a realtor also, because now it's like, finding a realtor and finding a house is probably the same thing because there's so many.
So many of us.
How to pick it, how to differentiate between, different kinds of agents, the market, where you want to live, what you should look at, distance to schools and work and all that kind of stuff, and what the difference is between maybe living in a city or living in the suburbs or living in the country. So it's really based like for anybody in the country too. It's not just dialed in for Utah. Everything from title companies to places that use attorneys, just everything, all the different wording, the words and stuff for it. So it just came out of editing this week. I was so excited. There was a lot of tweaks that I had to make. So I should have it out about early to mid-January of 21.
Awesome. So. I love it. That's so cool. And whenever I speak to people that write books, there seems to be this really high level of self-esteem, which I really admire, because to consider yourself an author, it's kind of like next level, right? As I mentioned, not many people write books. A lot of people have other forms of media, but writing a book is still held in very high regard in our society. So I admire anybody that does that. So talk to us a little bit about the process of actually writing it. What was your routine? Were you writing X number of hours a day, X number of words? How did you kind of go about the structure? Because a lot of people also have the goal to write books, but they never finish it, right? So the fact that you got to the finish line is super cool. How did you structure your time to get it done despite your busy days?
Okay, first of all, you're really gassing me up with all that because I didn't really think of anything like that. I was like, people just want to buy a house and this is going to be cool. And now you're saying all this stuff, which is super cool, which makes me even more nervous. But as far as time, that's all I wanted to do. Yeah. Like anytime I could find any time to do anything, it was that. It was in my office with music going, either a tea or a coffee, and just writing it out. And so there wasn't a structure really. I mean, once you're a realtor, you don't really have structure. Right? You just kind of create your structure.
Yeah, for sure.
But when I was doing that's all I want to do. Any chance I get, I'm in there working in my little zone. So
yeah, I love that. Right. And you posted on social media, I think it was a couple days ago, and actually one of your alarms just went off, that you have alarms on your phone throughout the day.
Yep.
So I'm also super interested in how successful people manage their time. So, the fact that there was no structure, that's kind of a structure in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
You just kind of work whenever you have a minute here or there. But talk to us about your alarms.
My alarms.
Your
okay.
alarms. That to me is something different. I know that people set certain alarms, but not like while you're awake, right? Like throughout the day. So talk to us where that idea came from.
Where did that? I don't remember where it came from. I think I just wanted to make sure that I was never thinking negative thoughts, right? Because everything that you think happens, whether that's good or bad. And so I started with a couple alarms throughout the day that says, what are you focused on? And sometimes I'd be driving, having a negative thought about what the situation that just happened, a phone call I had in the morning, and my alarm would go off and it would literally catch me in a negative thought. And instantly I'm like, oh my gosh, back on track. Exactly. So then I was like, let's take that farther. Let's make sure, because I don't have a structure and I have a million things on my plate, let's make sure that we're using time effectively. And so then I just started creating more. And so one time I was laying there working on, because I'm also getting my Florida license and my Utah broker license. Wow. So I have school going everywhere. And I was laying on my bed working on it, and I laid back and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I don't know. 4:04 goes off and my alarm that says focus is on. And I look at it and I was like,
let's go.
I did this to myself. All right, exactly. And then it was
to myself.
Yeah, exactly. So it was time to pick myself back up and keep going. Yeah. So it's really cool to have them go off during the day, and then I have some, at night that's like read. Right, I love to read, but sometimes we get caught up on scrolling. Right, that's me.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah. So then that alarm will go off, and I'll put my phone down and pick up my book and go on. So I think I have 6 or 7 that go off throughout the day at like random times too. It's not like top of the hour or anything like that.
Is there any thought behind the times?
No.
Like you said, like 4:04. Is there a reason why it's 4:04, not 4:05?
No. And by the way, for anybody like thinking this, I don't have an alarm at 11:11. Okay, that one does happen naturally. The other ones, I just kind of like was making them and just went through them. Whatever it stopped. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I think that the way that we manage our time is the factor. Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, that's all you have. Right? All you have is your time.
Yep.
And we all have 24 hours a day, and the ones that are able to navigate that best are the ones that are going to win. So I love that, Karina. Also, you are a single mother.
Yes, I am.
Which is awesome. Big shout out to all the single moms out there. My mother-in-law is a single mom.
Okay.
So big respect, huge dabs to any single parent, mother or father, but any single parent out there. Big shout out to you guys. But you mentioned that when you were starting your career, you were already a single mom. Mm-hmm. So talk to us a little bit about that, because a lot of our audience are either single parents or they're young parents and they're trying to get things started. And I have one 4-year-old. I'm not single, but I have one 4-year-old, and that is enough. Like I am done, right? But I really admire people that can still be there for their kids, even if they're single, and still make things work and still win. So talk to us a little bit about those early days, how you navigated that, and kind of what you've learned along the way.
So I actually had my son when I was 16. Okay. A month later, I turned 17. So it was really, really hard the first maybe 5-6 years. And I mean, saying it was hard is probably an understatement. It was crazy. Yeah. But when I knew I wanted to become a real estate agent, it was because I was a property manager. So I didn't wake up one day and be like, oh, the market's hot, I want to be an agent. No offense to anybody out there.
Massive offense. Just kidding.
I actually had to get my license to keep my job, because at the time that I was a property manager, there was a law that said you had to have a license to sign leases. So I had been signing leases already for about 1.5 years. And so I got my license just to keep my job. I didn't think anything of it. My very first deal was actually my very first house, which was how I learned the process, which, what better way than to mess up your own deal?
Way to jump in there, right?
Exactly. Jump in the deep end. But it actually took me a year to do my schooling. I failed my test 3 times. I failed my test twice, and then the third time I didn't show up to it. So then technically 4 times. So for anybody out there that's in the middle of doing that, if you fail the first few times, don't worry. It happens all the time. Yeah. I know very few people that actually passed it the first couple times. So yeah, that was probably the hardest part, is just getting through that.
That's true.
Yeah. And then my first year I did, I think 3 or 4 deals, including my own. And I had a friend that reached out that had too many leads. And I was like, what does that mean? That's a thing? Are you serious?
Too many
leads? Okay. So I go and I get introduced to her, and I get on her team. Amazing. She's actually still my mentor today. I work with her very closely, and that's how I got into Round Life Real Estate. Was there for 5 years. Absolutely adore everybody there. And then made the switch, like we talked about earlier.
So when you started, you mentioned that you found a top producer and you joined their team. That's very similar to what I did.
Yeah.
So a top producer had same thing, too many leads. They needed a showing agent, so I jumped in and I did showings for the first 3-4 years of my career, and that was really where I got all of my experience. So when you first jumped in, did you do something similar? Were you doing showings? Were you was she just kind of mentoring you? What was kind of your role coming in?
She was mentoring me for sure. I wasn't only just a showing agent. She would literally call me and say, and doesn't happen these days. Okay. So for any new agent listening, this is once in a lifetime. Yeah. She would call me and say, this so-and-so is pre-approved for this much. Here's the lead.
Wow.
I know. It everything's just fallen into my lap. Yeah. And then that was my client. And I would go and show them the house and just take it from there. So it was awesome to learn that way. She'd still mentor me. She would still teach me, all her ways that I'm still learning from today. And that's how I did it. So it's hard when people ask me how should I do it? Or how did you do it? Because for me, everything just happened for me as I was going.
Sure. Why do you think that is? You mentioned before when we talked about your alarms about positive energy, positive mind frame, kind of putting away the negative stuff. Why do you think it happened to you in that way? Do you think that there's a specific reason? Did you do something specific, or do you think it was just luck?
I don't believe in luck. Everything does happen for a reason. So I feel like even though I didn't know it then, I was making sure I was always positive. Mm-hmm. I read a book, I think you've heard it and read it, Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. Read that book in my mid-20s, changed my life. I know that sounds super corny, but it's true. True. I started thinking myself into these kinds of results. Yeah. And like I said, at the time, I didn't know it. I remember I have 2 very vivid memories when I was doing property management. One of them, it was a snowstorm and I was running late and I had to call my boss and tell him I was late. And I was like, why do I need to tell somebody I'm running late? There's snow. What am I supposed to do? Another time I was way back in my call center days, I got in a car accident on my way to work and I got fired that day.
No.
Yeah. And I was like, how am I fired? There was an accident. And then another time, sorry, I said 2, but there was 3. I was walking out of property management. I looked up into the sky and I remember just thinking, I just want to work 10 to 4 and make normal people money. Mm-hmm. And I can take my kids to school and be there when they're back. And I didn't know that I was creating this for myself. Yeah. And so watching that manifest and happen has been the coolest thing. So now I'm really into thinking myself into positive things.
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important. And one of the things that I found in speaking to single parents is the effect that has on their kids.
Yes.
Right? I think it's a tremendous topic. My wife, grew up with a single mom. And so obviously I've learned a lot from her. Me not having that exact experience. So how do you think you building a business has influenced your children?
Oh my gosh, they are my pride and joy. Yeah. They do the same things, they'll think about the same things or they'll catch themselves thinking bad things. And my oldest we got him into boxing, both of them this year. And almost every day he'll look back to what he looked like before and where he is now, and he's so proud of himself, and I tell them all the time, you guys, hard work, and it's not just me telling them, they'll see this, hard work is going to get you results, that, if you do this, and this to get this, and this, but if you do this, and this, then you get this, and this, and they've watched it happen over and over again with me. So they've been through there, with me through a lot. And, watching them grow, watching myself grow is probably like the coolest thing. Sorry. The coolest thing I think that I am proud of out of everything.
Yeah. Do you feel like your children are proud of you?
I hope so. Yeah. I really do. Yeah.
I love that, Karina. I respect that tremendously. You know, and me just talking about my own son. I was on a podcast about a month ago, and they asked me about having my first kid and, you know, kind of that whole experience. And so one of the things that I was talking about was that a lot of people in my inner circle, extended inner circle, have daddy issues.
Okay.
Right. And so I've seen the damage that can do.
Yeah.
It's devastating. And for whatever reason, right? But one of my commitments is that my son, he's going to have a lot of issues, right? He's a human being, but he's not going to have that issue, right? He's not going to have daddy issues. And so I respect that tremendously, and I follow your stuff. I know that your kids box. Ray is a boxing coach.
Oh, no way.
Yep.
How
So she does
cool.
boxing. My brother is a boxing coach. I'm actually training to fight in April.
No way.
So I love that sport, right? So I know that you do it. Your kids do it. So talk to us a little bit about that. You mentioned that your son has gone through some sort of transformation. How do you think that sport has affected them and also you in the way that you live your life?
Well, it definitely helps get our anger out with everything, right?
Just got to hit something?
For sure. Oh, yeah. I started with just for exercise. It was great. So shout out to Drip Sweat Boxing Fitness.
Drip Sweat Boxing?
Yes, and Diorum. And it just grew into something that I didn't know. It was funny because I saw them doing it at the gym. Didn't know who they were. And I remember asking Jose, can I just do it? I just want to tell myself, I just want to prove to myself I can't. Because I wasn't coordinated, you know. And here I am. I'm still doing it, and I love it. And then my kids love it. And I think it just really helps us get that, you know, the stuff that we go through that we don't really talk about.
For sure.
And get it all out there. And then, you know, being healthy. Elias, my youngest, asked me yesterday, literally, Mom, why are we boxing? He's like, no, I like it, but like, why do we do it? And I was like, well, we need exercise. What else do you want to do? Do you want to go back to soccer? No. He's like, I like boxing. So yeah, it's awesome. And then I love that we all three get to do it. And when we do it together, it's the coolest thing.
It's fun, right?
It's
because
fun,
you get to do something with your kids, which is actually rare. Because my kid did soccer, so I would go watch him play soccer, but I didn't play soccer with him.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't practice with him. So I think that dynamic is also super, super fun. And not only that, but the discipline. Like, it's such a hard sport.
Yeah. And then you have your footwork going, you have your hands, you have your muscles, you have your, you know, it's
tough.
It's so tough.
It looks so much like I've watched boxing all my life, and it looks so much easier than it is. It's so hard.
It's so hard.
It's
I got into
ridiculously
the sparring ring for the first time a couple of weeks ago. It's another animal. Like, no way. And my kids were always telling me, Mom, when are you going to get in? I was like, listen, I'm just trying to work out. Okay. I'm not trying to
beat anybody up.
And I reached out and I actually want to do a fight next year too.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
That's
I want
crazy.
to, and they'll train me for it. But yeah, getting into that ring and you have literally somebody hitting you. Yeah. And you're trying to get out of the way and you're trying to keep your balance and you're not, you know, and all the things that you learn go that way. And you're like in survival mode. Yeah,
for sure.
And so watching my kids do it and get better and better and better and better, it's the coolest thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
it just comes back to discipline because they'll take not only boxing, but the discipline from it with them. And that's most important.
To be able to do hard things.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And to not quit. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that you get to do this with your kids, it's difficult for a lot of folks when you're running a business, right? So one of the things that I always talk about is I used to envy people that had normal jobs because they would do like the 9 to 4, and then at 4 they were free.
Yeah,
like they didn't have to think about work, or we'd go on trips and everyone had their day off, so they didn't have to think about work. And I'm carrying my laptop around Disneyland, sitting down trying to do stuff. So there's no time off. So how do you prioritize the time with your kids throughout all of the chaos of having a successful real estate business where you have people pulling at you all the time, right? Your phone's blowing up. Someone needs something from you all the time. How do you then make time to actually be able to go and work out with your kids?
I think boxing had a lot to do with it because since I love to do it and they love to do it, then we just plan it. Like they know that, you know, we have mornings to ourselves because I don't have to be anywhere until I need to be. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that's after I can take them to school. So we have our mornings and then they have school, they come home, we have a quick meal, and then it's off to boxing. And then we come home, and then I'm in my office. And so they know that. So we try to, anytime that we can, today was a snow day, it was perfect. We got to hang out anytime that we can, and then weekends. too. So we make sure, even if I am working, the phone rings, and ever since they were little, if the phone rings, they were both to each other, shh, mom's on the phone. So it's been, they've learned that. So I think I don't know that I've had a way that I've prioritized it. I just do it. I don't know.
You just make it happen.
I just make it happen.
I love it. One of the other things that I've noticed from your social media is that you're really into sneakers.
Yes.
And your kids are really into sneakers.
My kids are more into sneakers
and I've
than
seen
I am.
that. And so I wanted to ask you, because my son's 5 years old, right? I'm a big sneakerhead. He likes sneakers too. Some of those sneakers are expensive.
Some
right?
of them, all of them.
Like we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of dollars a pair.
Yeah.
And so an interesting dynamic, especially when you have teenagers, how do you navigate that? Like, do you, and you may or you may not, I'm kind of throwing a curveball at you here, but do you make them earn their sneakers? Because they're expensive sneakers, right? How do you navigate that? Because for me, buying sneakers for myself, it can get out of hand.
Yeah.
Like if you saw my closet, it's ridiculous. I have more sneakers than my wife does. I have more shoes than my wife does. But when it comes to kids and being in a successful position that you're in, where you make good money, how do you navigate that with your kids?
Oh, 100% they have to earn it. And it goes, everything wraps around back together, right? I'm a single mom. They know I'm a single mom. I'm like, look, I don't have time for bull crap. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on them, which is really, really hard. But I also feel like it's teaching them a lot more and a lot faster. My son, my oldest, he's 15. He's in high school. He doesn't skip school. He has straight A's and B's. My youngest, same thing. They love school. My oldest, I chose his classes with him. So he's in marketing. He's in retail. He's all these things that are going to help him in the future. And so making sure that they like it. And then, like I said, everything wraps around. So they see me work hard and what I'm able to get working hard. And sometimes, they'll say that too. Oh, this guy at school has the same shoes and he has a mom and a dad, and stuff. And so sometimes they'll even ask me like, Mom, how do you do this? I'm like, listen, if you work hard and you show me, you're going to get the same thing, because that's going to teach them the nice things now and what it takes to get them. So when they're older, if they want these nice things, they'll know exactly what they need to do. Sure. And how do you go from liking nice things to not liking nice things?
Right. You're not going to go backwards.
Exactly. So then that's going to teach them, look, once you get to a certain age, if you want these nice things, then you're going to work just as hard as I did, if not harder. Yeah.
And I think that is such an important dynamic, because when the parent wins, sometimes it's very easy for the child to attribute those wins to themselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like I have a buddy who does very well for himself, very, very well for himself. And his kid's like a bully, and his kid's like a jerk because, and he doesn't mind me sharing this because he's super open about it. But his kid is just not a good kid, and, he because he has money, he kind of looks down on others. So whenever there's a parent that has kids that are like teenagers, I'm very interested in that of how you can take your success, right, and turn that into a net positive for your children versus a net negative.
So what I do, and a lot of moms are not going to like me for this, but what I tell my kids, and Shaquille O'Neal said it, I'm the one with the money, not them.
Right.
I've earned this money. I have worked for this money, not them.
Not you.
They can earn what they have through doing what they need to do. But at the end of the day, that's my money.
Right.
And I will show you how to earn it, and I will show you how to do this. It was actually funny. We talk about these things all the time with my kids, right? And so when I'm teaching my kids that they're going to be millionaires in their 20s. Mm. And if they do that, I've told them I'm going to fail as a mom. I know. No pressure. No pressure, kids.
No pressure.
It's fine. But I'm giving them tools. And Elias, my youngest, goes, when I'm rich, I'm just going to give my kid $1 million. I was like, oh, really? That's cool. What are you going to do after he spends it? And he just sits there. I was like, are you going to give him another $1 million? And he just kind of looks at me. I was like, I'm going to teach you, or why don't you teach your kids how to make money so you never have to give it to them? Right. And he just kind of looked at me. Kids' expressions, right? Yeah. He was like, I can hear him say, oh, shit, without saying it. Yeah. I was like, you need to teach them, and I'm going to teach you how to make money so that you never have to worry about it. And so it just, again, everything goes back to me being a single mom and knowing they can't act out and knowing that, they can't do stuff like that because they know my schedule and what I do and the headspace that I do and don't have, which helps them be better kids, I hope.
I think that's so cool, because they see a winner in you. And I think that what you said is important. And I actually share that same sentiment of that Shaq quote, which I have heard before. And again, a lot of parents aren't going to agree with that, but I agree with it 1,000%. And I think that it doesn't come from a bad place. Of saying,
exactly.
You're not coming from a bad place. You're coming from I'm going to teach you how to get your own instead of just relying on what I can give you. Right? And I think that those life skills are tremendous. So the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, Karina, was your switch from brokerage to brokerage.
Yes.
So that's tough to do, especially when you've been at a brokerage for a long time. That's difficult, right? And so talk to us a little bit about what made you want to change and kind of the differences that you've seen from brokerage 1 now to brokerage 2.
Okay, so I was introduced to England Volkers, or E&V, a couple years ago, just through friends of friends, knowing that they were worldwide and luxury, and I loved all that. At the time, I wasn't ready, so I just kind of left that on the back burner, but always thinking about it. And I was with my brokerage for 5 years, and for an agent, that's
a long time.
That's a long time. And I remember telling myself I was never going to leave Van Life unless it was to EV, but it never happened. And so when it happened in June, I was ecstatic and excited, but also sad to leave everybody. But the brand is amazing. Like I told you earlier, it's do you want to buy the normal bag, or do you want to buy the Chanel or the Louis Vuitton bag?
Right.
And that's what they are. They are the Chanel, they are the Louis Vuitton. Because everything in life is an experience,
For sure.
right? That's all it is. Not saying that's bad, but that's what they do. And I wanted to tap into luxury. I think it's time now, and that's where I'm around. I mean, Paul Benson is, he does millions and millions. I don't think he touches anything under 24 million or something like that. So I heard, and the differences that I've seen, it's kind of very like hands-on, on your own type of thing. But that's good, because then you learn to be innovative. You're not going to a training doing the same thing that 200 other people are doing. You are making sure you're running your own business and doing things differently. Yeah. So that's definitely something that it's taught me, for sure.
And I agree with that. When you talk about experience, especially in real estate, I feel like that is a shift that the industry has to make. And we have to go from being just salespeople to advisors. Yeah. Right. I believe in that completely.
And that's what England Volkers, that's what we call each other. We call each other advisors.
Advisors.
Yeah.
To me, that is the shift, because, nobody wants to be sold, but everybody wants to be advised.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And so when you talk about experience, I'm curious, for some of our entrepreneurs out there, what are some small tweaks, some things that you have found or that you have implemented with this new brokerage that you feel has elevated the experience for the consumers that you work with?
So a couple things, actually. So one, realizing and knowing and accepting that luxury is an experience. It's not a price tag. Okay. Luxury doesn't come with price. It's the experience. Yeah. And the other one is, I lost my train of thought. Ask the question again.
But going back to that first point, when you say that, what I'm hearing is you're dealing with people that are looking for something specific that can pay for it, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get situations where it is a price dilemma of, $20,000 here or there, $30,000 here or there. They're looking for something different, right? And so that presents an interesting dynamic, because in many cases, people are just trying to get the best deal possible, right? Not to say that doesn't happen in luxury,
right?
But it seems to me, doing some luxury deals, probably not as many as you, when we talk about luxury, is they're looking for something specific and they're willing to pay for it. So how do you see that shift from when you're doing normal real estate, let's say under $1 million, 400, 500, 600,000, to then you're talking about millions?
Confidence. So this
That's
brand has given me a lot of confidence, because in my other brokerage, when somebody did a $1 or $2 million deal, it was like,
it's crazy.
It was a huge deal, which it is. Don't get me wrong. It totally is.
No, it totally is.
But when you're going from a huge deal, and it doesn't really happen, $1 to $2 million deals, to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, $40 million deals.
Yeah.
It's just that boost of confidence that when you are on the shelf of a mom and pop shop, you're the same brand. Right. And you are on the shelf of a higher end brand. It's just that confidence that it gives you you can say the same thing, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Right.
Right. So that backing of confidence is definitely 100% has helped me.
Yeah. And we're talking about brand. You mentioned that you were already attracted to them at first, but you were doing your thing, but they were kind of on the back burner. So I would like to dive in a little bit deeper into that branding aspect. You have a very strong brand on social media. and then, adding on the ENV brand. Talk to us a little bit about how you see branding and how you've used social media to kind of, brand yourself effectively.
I think brand, it's just the difference between, I think, passion. Okay. How passionate you are about something versus not, because when you have a passion and you have a brand, it's going to show. People are going to feel it, and that presence of it versus, not having it. And it doesn't happen overnight. My branding with Your Realtor Karina has taken me my whole real estate career, pretty much. So that's what I think it is. It's just the passion behind it.
And do you feel like the people in the building at ENV value your personal brand?
I hope so. I think they do.
The reason why I ask that is because, social media for agents is something that very few agents, in my opinion, do correctly. And sometimes it's because their boss or their broker, whatever the case may be, feels like they're a detriment to the logo, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So if I'm at X, Y, and Z brokerage and I have a large personal brand, that can be to the detriment of the brokerage because I'm kind of taking the light for myself instead of putting it on the logo.
Gotcha.
Right? Some people feel that way. And so if they see an agent that has a strong brand on social media, it makes people uncomfortable.
I don't think their brand is way too big for Your Realtor Karina to come in and take any shine away, which is awesome. But even in my other brokerage now, I have been they say that I'm the anomaly when it comes to social media.
Yeah.
And people ask me all the time. I used to go from, Karina, I want to buy a house, to Karina, how do I become a realtor, and how do I do social media, and how do I make that work for me? But for me, the biggest thing that you can do on social media to have it work for you is be authentic.
Yeah.
You can try and have a color scheme and aesthetic and only post about one or two things, which is great. But when you're being authentic to everything that you do, it's going to make you that much better and broader to a bigger audience. And then people can feel authenticity. Even if you're looking on a screen.
And I feel like it makes you more relatable. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
When you show other aspects of your life, your kids, boxing, whatever the case may be, people can relate to that, right? Versus just seeing a logo. That's why I'm a strong proponent of the personal brand, because we as consumers, and there's science behind this, we trust faces more than we trust logos.
Yep.
And especially in real estate where it's such a personal situation. You know what I mean? Like it's very personal. It's somebody's home, it's somebody's investment, somebody's money. They need someone that they can trust. So you said that you were the anomaly in your brokerage when it comes to social media. I consider myself the same way. Why do you think it is that so few of us are able to use social media? Because every agent that I talk to would like to, but when I look at their feeds and when they ask me for advice, I see the same things. I just see listings
under contract.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? That's all. That's it. Why do you think that is?
Because a lot of people don't want to be out there. I don't want my business out there. I don't want people knowing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Well, that's fine, but then how are they going to trust you?
Right.
For me, you can go on my social media and see what I had for breakfast. And it's a very fine line between being out there but being private. You can see what I had for breakfast, but there's a lot of other things that,
of course,
that don't, that you're not going to know. So I think agents are just they don't know how to do that, how to separate that between showing enough for people to trust you, but also keeping a private life. I remember one time, one agent from the past was like, I don't want to be that agent. And I said to him, that's fine. I will be.
Right.
And ask us which one of us is still in the business.
Yeah. Right.
So it's just about getting out there. And I saw somebody on social media, a big guy that does stuff that's saying, why is your page private? What do you have to hide? You don't want to show your kids? Don't post your kids.
Don't show your kids. I think that's what people don't realize, that you choose what you post.
Yeah, exactly.
The same way you choose, like when people say, social media is toxic. Like, well, social media is not toxic. Your feed is toxic because you follow the wrong people.
100%.
Right? Like, you get to choose what you consume. If all of a sudden you start following positive pages or positive people, that's going to be your feed. If all you're seeing is depressing news or whatever, there's a reason for that.
Yep, 100%. So I actually wake up to my phone. I wake up to my Instagram. I know, that goes contrary to everybody's belief.
That, right?
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
And it's funny. I just posted the other day. I was like, I wake up at 5 a.m. and then post on Instagram so everybody knows I'm awake at 5 a.m. I was like, I'm attacked right now. What the heck? But it's because my feed is positive. And if I want to wake up on time and I'm going to go on and I'm going to see some funny cat video or a super positive quote, that's going to wake me up faster than oh, it's time to get up now. Exactly. I have to go to the gym. I have to do this. It's like I get to wake up on a positive note, get my eyes open. You have a screen in your face that's going to force you to open your eyes. Then you start, getting on there, but then it comes back to discipline and making sure you're only on there for a matter of minutes while you wake up.
I think that's smart, though. I think that the way that you use these tools are going to determine if they're positive or if they're negative.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything, all of your thoughts, everything that, like, if I were to tell you a secret, and everybody listening, one secret to life, it's that everything you think happens. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine if you believed that, right? If I sold that to you for $1 million, the secret was, and the secret was that everything you think of happens. Would you believe it?
It seems hard to believe.
It does seem hard, but it's also so simple.
But then when you think about your life and you think about your experiences, you're like, huh, that's true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. Do you ever feel pressure from social media? Do you ever feel pressured to post a certain number of times a day, or I got to look a certain way, or
every day, every hour of my life,
really?
But I don't let it get to me. I use that as motivation.
And here, you're the first person that has admitted to that.
Oh, really?
Because everybody that has larger social media followings, they're like, nah, I'm good.
They're lying.
Just do it, right?
They're lying. There's no way. And I don't even have that many followers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I exploded over the last maybe month over some videos. But no, are you kidding me? It's pressure every day. You have trolls. You have, oh my gosh, you post too much. You're watching too much. What? Are you serious? Yeah, it's constant pressure. Yeah, I haven't posted in 2 days. Or, oh my gosh, my story is 2 hours long. You know? But today was cool. It's a ton of pressure. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I love the honesty because I feel the exact same way. But yeah, most people push against that. But it's real. You know, if you're gonna put yourself out there, there are repercussions to that you have to be aware of.
And are those repercussions worth the amount of success or greatness that you're going to achieve from it?
Exactly. It's not all going to be positive.
Right.
If you want this result of exposure, of people hitting you up, of people seeing your stuff, there's also going to be a negative aspect to that. So I think that's a very smart way to look at it. And then also, what outside from social media, and this is a question that actually just came up because of something that you posted yesterday, of Instagram taking your views.
Yeah.
Right? For your
that was so weird because it has 500 likes as of this morning, and it says in the insights, it's reached 4,000 accounts.
Yeah.
But it has 0 views.
It has 0 views. And I watched it twice.
Yeah. I watched it.
So, but that brings up an interesting dynamic because for those of us that play in these spaces, that play on social media, we are hostage to the platform. Mm-hmm. If tomorrow Instagram decides they don't want to show your stuff anymore, what do we do?
Get
right?
a job.
So go get a job. So talking about that, right? We have to be mindful of that. And that's something that I've also been thinking a lot about recently of, you have reels on there that have hundreds of thousands of views, but then what if tomorrow Instagram's like, sorry, Karina, we're not going to show your stuff anymore. What do you do? So is that something that you think about?
I'm like, oh my gosh, no. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not going to lie. I am that person. I am that person. And why am I going to deny it? Why am I going to lie about it? I'm going to use it to my advantage.
Sure.
And a long time ago, I was like, if I can't beat them, I'm just going to join them. It's not my battle to fight.
Right.
But yeah, if that happened, then I would probably create my own platform.
Right. Because for me, it does make me think, right? Mm-hmm. What am I doing off of the internet that can also create relationships?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean?
Saying. If tomorrow Instagram shuts down, what can we do that we're playing there very strongly, you and I? If tomorrow it goes away, which I don't think it is, but just hypothetically speaking, what else do we do? Is that something that you think about in your day-to-day? To either do networking events or reaching out to people in person?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do networking events and reaching out to people already all the time. But a lot of that is through social media.
Right.
So I think oh my gosh, we're going to have to call people. We're going to have to text them. We can't DM them anymore.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to send mailers.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of stuff that we can do that just get overlooked right now because of how big social media is. But no, absolutely. I mean, I would call people, text people. I love to throw parties and events. That's what I would do. I'd become a party planner.
Yeah. And I love that you own it. Right. Honestly, I think that the more authentic you are, like you say, the better. Right. And so to everybody out there, all of the agents, loan officers, people that ask about social media, 'cause I get those questions all the time too. Use it, be yourself, and good things will happen. And don't try to put up a front. And that's one of the things that I see in you that I really admire is you are who you are and you don't apologize for it. And,
that's been one of the biggest things for me that I also like talk to a lot of other women about, and, maybe men, but they don't reach out as much, is that when I became unapologetic, but not being rude, everything changed for me. We walk around the grocery store and you accidentally turn the corner, and what do? You say sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Are you really sorry? Or, you say, excuse me. Yeah. So you take that one little part out, that one little thing of saying sorry all the time. And my family members are like that. We'll go to a restaurant and they'll change their order one time and apologize profusely. I'm like, this is their job. You don't need to be sorry that now you want fries instead of something else. And just taking that out a little bit where you're not being rude. I would never be rude, but just being a little bit less apologetic just gives you another boost of confidence, that you can be who you are. Yeah. And if you don't like it, unfollow me. Stop talking to me. What's that going to do to me? I'm going to wake up tomorrow and still do what I'm going to do no matter what.
And that's what it comes down to, because at the end, you can't please everyone.
Oh, never.
You just can't.
There's one saying I live by. You can be, and this was like MySpace days, okay? Judge me. It said, you can be the juiciest peach in the entire world, and there will always be someone that doesn't like peaches.
I don't like peaches.
Really? I don't. You know what I mean? See?
No, I love it.
No,
I agree with that,
anything.
though.
Like, and you can be the greatest thing, and there will always be somebody that doesn't like that.
Yep.
So why are you going to change who you are?
Yeah.
Because you're going to change it.
Never going to win.
Yeah, you're going to change it to something else, and there's going to be somebody else that doesn't like that.
Yep. You're never going to win. Well, Karina, this has been an amazing episode. Thank you so much for coming. The last question that I always ask, to everybody that comes on the show, is your top 3 tips. So give me your top 3 tips for someone who has young kids, would like to start a business, maybe has some self-doubt. I don't know if I can do this. It's really hard. I don't have a lot of time. That's just doubting themselves constantly. What would you say to that person?
So to parents with kids, let kids be kids. That's something I tell myself. Let kids be kids.
Me too.
It's hard because we want them to be this and that in one way and another, but that they might not be.
Right.
So definitely letting kids be kids. And if you're doubting yourself, I doubt myself all the time. With this book that I have coming out, I'm like, what if it flops? But
how nervous are you?
I'm so nervous.
Are you really nervous?
I'm so nervous because I ask myself, what if it flops? What if people read it and go, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. But then I tell myself, if someone were to tell me it flops, I'd be like, how many books have you had flop?
Right.
At least I'm going to have a book that flops.
That's the thing.
So you have to do it. So to somebody doubting yourself, just do it. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to fail and then you try something else. Yeah. And that's the one thing that people won't make it to the top because they're so scared to be seen at the bottom.
Say that again for the people in the back.
People never make it to the top because they're scared to be seen at the bottom. What's wrong with the bottom? Where are you going to start? Because if you're not at the top, where are you?
Right.
You're at the bottom no matter what. You might as well.
You got to start somewhere.
Exactly. Work your way up. Yep. And if you fail, you tell somebody, a naysayer, you say, well, how many times have you failed?
Yeah.
And did you quit? Because you only ever fail when you quit.
Right.
So just do the damn thing.
Yeah. And talking about your book, right? Some people are not going to like your book.
Oh, yeah.
But doing it anyway. I think that's the point.
Yeah, because that has gotten me to, I have 3 more books coming out.
There you go. I
have how to sell a book, credit repair, and then social media marketing, right? That's gotten me into a clothing brand, right? Shout out to the Toxic Boys Club. All right. Yeah. And joining them because if, and teach everybody that I talk to, if you fail, you just keep going. You just find another way. You learn what didn't work. Yeah. So don't do that again. Do something else.
Change.
Exactly.
Right? But if you start, it opens up a bunch of other opportunities that you may not even have on your radar at any given point in time.
Exactly.
Right. So Karina, thank you so much. Tell the audience where they can find you, where they can plug into you. Guys, check out her stuff. Check out her content. Where can people find you?
Social media, Instagram, actually Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff I don't really use. So only Instagram at Your Realtor Karina. Everything's on there. Work, my life, everything.
Awesome. Where can people find your book?
It'll be there will be a link on my Instagram when it's ready.
All right, guys, check it out. Stay tuned. Not one book, but we got 3 more coming out, so we're gonna have 4
we have a ton
eventually.
Of stuff. Yes, stay tuned
guys.
for everything.
Plug into Karina, check out her book, buy her book, share it with people that want to buy, sell a house. Check her out. 1,000% worth it. Karina, thank you so much for your time and for being here today.
Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you, guys.
With that being said, guys, this has been episode number 70 of the Ask Tony Show. Till next time.